This is a really great question, and my answer has like three big parts. First, I want to talk about the difference between like big R and little r research. Then I want to talk about like what makes credible research. And lastly, I want to talk about like where you might publish these things as a non research professional. So like big R versus little r research. If you are outside of academia and like don't work for a research institute, you are probably doing little r research. Why? How do I know that? Because big R research, what I call big R research, means that you have gone through an institutional review board, an IRB, a panel of people who have looked at your plan for your study and said like, yes, this is ethical, you can go ahead and do it. This is like a federal requirement for conducting research on human subjects. So if you're doing research with people, you have to go through an IRB. Now, an IRB might look at your plan and say, hey, actually, this poses like really no risk, no problems for people at all. You're exempt. Like you don't have to finish the IRB process, but at some point your plan is getting submitted to an IRB. The vast majority of peer-reviewed publications, so like academic journals, require that you've gone through an IRB because that implies you have done big R research. Little r research is like when people say like, oh, I'm researching this thing. Oh, I researched that last night. Oh, I'm going to like a new restaurant and I researched it, right? Like it's like casual research. Like maybe you're like a little neurotic. I get it, me too. And like you do kind of like make a plan, but like it's not super formal. It's like little r research. You're using the word more casually. You're not implying that you've conducted like a large study. And if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, but like I'm not big R because I'm not with an IRB, but like I am doing like an actual study. Here's my question for you. Are you possibly doing an evaluation? Because evaluations do not have to be overseen by institutional review boards. The purpose of a research project is to create generalizable knowledge, to like learn about a field, right? To like make a big knowledge contribution to the world. The purpose of an evaluation is to learn if something works or not, to iterate, to improve, to understand like a very specific situation, like your product, your business, your services to people, like how a nonprofit is working or not working. Like those things can all fall under evaluation. An evaluation study can look very similar to research, right? It could use the exact same methods. It could have the same sample of people. Like it could be super, super similar, but the difference is the purpose. If I'm doing an evaluation, I'm not trying to create general knowledge, and therefore I don't need to go through an IRB because I'm not technically doing research. If you're like, no, Kirsten, but I do want to create generalizable knowledge for my field, this is important to me, great. Partner with the university, partner with the research institute, find them to pay for play IRBs and give them money to check your study. Like you got to go the IRB route. That's how it works. It's annoying in the sense that it is a huge gatekeeper for like lots of people doing research. And it's something that I just feel like I've been put on this planet to try to come up with an alternative to, because I just like, it's so wild. And also like look up why IRBs were formed. It's super important to protect people and like ensure research is ethical. And it's more to ensure evaluations are ethical too. It's just like a convenient workaround right now because research is so gatekept. When I run evaluations, we're following the same requirements that an IRB has because again, ethics is important. But I digress. Credibility of sharing your work. Personally, I don't think it's like the fancy pants researcher or like a fancy university or whatever that makes research credible. I literally I don't care about who did it or where they did it like at all, because you could be at like a fancy university and do really bad research, and you could be at like a lesser university and do really amazing research. How can you tell? You want to look at the process. So when you're sharing or publishing, you want to be transparent and like so clear and detailed about the process for how you collected data. That, in my opinion, is how you build credibility. You lay it all out. You say, hey, here are the people that we collected data on. This is how many of them. This is their key characteristics. This is how we found them. This is where they were located. These are the days and time that we collected the data. This is the type of data we collected. We did a survey, we did interviews, we did observations, we used assessment data, whatever it is, right? Like you're laying that whole story of how you came to get this information out there. You're talking about how you analyze the data. What steps did you take to make sure the analysis was a good analysis? You're referring back to the questions you are seeking to answer with this data, right? Like you are like giving me the roadmap for every decision you made in doing this study. You're like data collection, evaluation, little r research roadmap will tell me everything I need to know about whether or not I trust your results. So you've done all this and you're like, yeah, but like now how do I put it out there? Make it a report, put it on your website, make an infographic, do a YouTube video about it, do a TikTok about it, make, like whatever. You can publish it however you want. If you're publishing your results, like self-publish. Step 1, self-publish. Self-publish in a clear, exciting, accurate, transparent way. Maybe it gets picked up. Maybe it's just dependent on you, like emailing it to everyone you know, putting it on LinkedIn and all your socials and having people share it and getting it out that way. So those are my suggestions. If anyone has any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section and follow for more on accessible research.